Welcome, welcome. This is Dead Feature Rant, an H1Z1 talk show. I am your host, Legendary Neurotoxin. To my screen left is Skylatron, and to my screen right is Tessachka. Now, the awesome thing about both of these folks, and this isn't the first time I've had it on the show, but it's totally cool, both folks here have played H1Z1, and they didn't just play the old Rusty Car version, they've played it more recently than that. So we've got some recent H1Z1 players here. So everybody here is speaking from a position of experience. It isn't just observation. We've all had firsthand played the game, seen it, been all about that.
We're professionals, yo.
Yep. So, speaking of professionalism, Skyla, why don't you talk about your experience with survival games and MMOs and your background with games in general? You're also, of course, your real deal job that you do too.
Yeah, yes, my real job is that I am the social media coordinator for Tent on Hammer. So I do lots of work with MMOs in general. So I have to sort of play all of them. That's what I do. And I've played some survival games with Rust and 7 Days to Die, mainly. So I think that H1Z1 is going to bring an interesting blend of MMO and survival game, and that's what I'm excited for.
Nice, nice, very cool. All right, and Tess, how about you? What's your background with the? Oh, thank you for the follows. Oh, whoops, that's not showing up. Let me fix that. Whoop. Okie dokie. Tess, so your experience and background with MMOs and survival games. I know you've been doing the scary stuff with the heart rate monitor and everything, and you know that's been quite an interesting experience for sure. So why don't you talk about that a little bit?
So I started, I've always sort of liked scary games. I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, just a little. And like I run, I do triathlons, all these things. And because of that, I have some gear. I have a heart rate monitor that I use for training. And when I started streaming scary games, people loved it, and they loved scaring me with scary follows and donations and things like that. So I decided, hey, why not have the heart rate monitor on screen so that they can see exactly how much my heart is pounding while I'm playing these scary games.
Yeah.
So that's been super, super, super fun. And in terms of MMO experience, really my gaming experience overall has kind of been formed by my experience in EVE. It was the first real MMO that I played. I played WoW for maybe like half an hour many years ago and just never got into it. And it's a very cool game. I just, for some reason at that point, I didn't get into it. And then I didn't get into any MMO or any gaming really until I got completely hooked on EVE. And then I was very much into that for many years.
Gotcha. Yeah, Eve is a game that people can definitely get lost in. I played it for a year and then realized, oh crap, now I can just barely start to do things. And at that point it's like, well, I could either keep on playing or maybe this would be time to duck out. And since then all of my stuff is on some station that I don't think exists out in 0, space anymore. So I'm pretty much starting, like, other than my character skills and any reserve points from the learning system they got rid of, I'm pretty much starting from scratch plus 1 year of experience if I did get back into it. Not really. It's that whole you're always behind people who started way earlier that really keeps me away from it, because it's not just that they can amass an empire of resources and notoriety, but they actually physically can fill out every skill tree to level 5, which takes years and years and years. You know, like a level 5 mothership piloting skill, I imagine, takes forever. So
it does, but it's,
yeah.
It depends on how much you specialize too, and how much you like most people that play at the upper levels, you have more than one account. Like I had 5 at one point, and each of those accounts had 3 different characters. So and now they've added training, the ability to train all 3 of your characters at the same time. It used to be that you could only train 1 per account.
Yep.
But basically, with the advent of, you know, multiple character training, you could basically specialize. So you could get a pilot into a capital ship in like 3.5, 4 months.
Nice.
With like really good skills. You can get a pilot perfect in all the skills for one capital ship in probably like, I don't know, 6 months, something like that, 7, which is still a very long time commitment. It is, but it's a complex game, and I like that about it. That was my favorite thing about it, that it was so complex and it required so much sort of strategic thinking in everything that you did in it. That was very interesting to me. And
Gotcha.
one of the things I'm looking forward to in H1Z1 actually is that it'll be survival, which obviously requires a significant amount of strategic thinking, but it'll also be an MMO. So it's a horror game, but there's so much more to it than that. There's going to be a level of complexity that we haven't seen in very many other games of this genre at all, and I'm very, very much excited for that.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's definitely, the MMO aspect is going to be what really makes it, because seeing a full-on like new users, not even new user experience, but a new player experience, starting from creating the new character and seeing how long you survive. Even an experienced person doing that, it's not easy. With no dev cheats, which is one of the videos we're gonna watch, it's not easy. There's a lot of walking and running and hiding and scavenging, and you don't always find a gun, you don't always find a car. In fact, they're actually quite rare, despite all of the footage we've seen of awesome vehicle stuff and gunplay everywhere. That's not the standard. You get lucky if you find an M16 with a box of ammo. You're even luckier if it's the actual military version. Civilian version's only single fire and doesn't have optics. So, yeah, it's fun stuff. Oh yeah, H1Z1 Jane. I should probably give you a shout out. If you have the link handy, go ahead and post it for the awesome fan art that you put up, because you got the H1Z1 community feature of the week for that hay shaker picture. That was pretty good.
Nice.
Did either of you see that?
I haven't. I'm actually
Yeah, I
really
saw
curious
that.
to see.
It's really, really cool. I was watching him work on it. Working on it. It was a fun process to watch. I only tuned in for a little bit there, so good stuff. It's good answer, Skyla. So while we wait for that link to go through, Skyla, what was your experience kind of checking it out at E3 this year?
So my experience was in the press suite, the SOE press suite with Adam Clegg. So I got, since there's like press coming in behind you and stuff, I got about 15 minutes of hands-on time in this short interview. So Adam let me drive, which is very exciting. I got to, my character had been played a couple times by other people, so I did have a gun and stuff that you normally wouldn't start out with. But he showed me how to do the discovery system, which I think is very, very cool.
Awesome.
And yeah, it is really going to set this apart. I got to drive a car. I got to smash into lots of zombies, and I also broke the game, so that was cool. Yeah, I took my Jeep and I ran it up over a rock, and so it tipped over on its side on the driver's side. And then I went to go get out, and I just fell through the world in a continuous loop. And it was like, oh, demo's over, you broke it.
Nice.
Yes, I'm very glad it's not out yet.
Yeah, no, that was the thing, is during one of the sessions, and I actually don't have it recorded, there were 2 critical bugs that really I kind of wanted to show and be like, this is why it's not in our hands yet. For one, the bow and arrow is bugged in a funny way. You pull the arrow back, you fire it at the target, it doesn't do any damage, but then you punch in the air and then it hits the target far away. So it's doing this like flying punch, like, you know, magic Shaolin thing or whatever. It's hilarious. There's actually a spell, Flying Fist, from the Might and Magic series that it is like, oh, it's totally that again. So that's definitely one thing. It's totally not intended. That wouldn't even go in PlanetSide 2. maybe Landmark. Maybe there's a Landmark or Unix ability, but certainly not in this game. And then the other thing is the kind of weird broken areas. If you go outside of the test area far enough, all right, cycling with Hertz, the current bow code is much better. Looking forward to it. If you go outside of the test zone far enough into the just the outer reaches, you're going to see a lot of cars that are just kind of floating in funny places. That's where terrain used to be placed and where the objects were there, but now that the terrain maps are different and the objects haven't been replaced, it's just kind of essentially deprecated object placement at that point. It's not really relevant anymore, and it just looked really funny. So, you know, I didn't want to show that in any of the videos. I'm pretty sure I don't have that in any of these videos here, but it's definitely, you know, the game is as good as it looks. It's definitely got a long way to go, and they're taking their time to make sure it's awesome, and I personally really appreciate that, because I'd rather a polished game and we're complaining about waiting than a slightly less polished game and the first 2 weeks of impressions is, oh no, throw it under the bus or whatever, like a zombie. Blame Jimmy for everything. He's a pretty good person to. He's probably a pretty good person to blame. I can't blame you there. So, before we get into the videos, was there anything else either of you wanted to mention or discuss?
Well, we can. So I got to visit H1Z1 a couple weeks ago when I went to visit San Diego.
Yeah.
And that experience was just awesome. I can't even begin to describe how awesome it was. I got to meet the devs. I got to add a thing to the game. Russian borscht. It's in the game. It's an item.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So sorry.
Just one thing I want to ask: is that what that sodium nitrate is for? Because I know that's used for something. It's got to be used for some food item. No, go ahead, please. What's
I think that it's just plain salt. It's a very simple recipe. It's just salt and beets and water, and that's it. And it's called survival borscht.
Those are things that are quite easy to come across in the game.
Exactly. So when you are hunting about for food and water, and you come across beets and water, you can combine them, and you get more. Does
it need to be like heated up or boiled at all, or you just put them together? Okay.
So I'm not sure if you saw that while you were at E3, but some of the ways the recipes work is you discover them when you find all of the items, and then you can combine them over a fire, for example. So you can cook stuff, or you can make stuff. But for something like borscht, literally you just go to a fire, you click on your inventory, you add those things together, and lo and behold, you have survival borscht.
Nice. Very cool. I would figure cookware is probably one of the easiest things that you'll be able to find out in the world, because it's not something that's really easy to melt down and reuse. A lot of it's, it is what it is, and that's pretty much what it's going to be, plus or minus. You can slight modifications, not too much. So I could see a lot of just cookware being abandoned, left behind by scavengers. So yeah, if you need a little cast iron pot to make your survival borscht, just break into some old house or whatever that's abandoned. There's probably a shelf full of them. Oh, there might be some house that everyone throws all of their pots and pans into to keep in mind that they have a whole bunch of them that they're totally useless. We do have many cans of beets, many cans of beets. Yes, that was the thing I was wondering about. Is there going to be creamed corn in the game? So Smedley put out the thing about farming corn and being able to ferment it, and I was like, well, what about other fermentable things? Like, I'm a home brewer. I ferment anything. You give me like some soda, I'll ferment it. Give me some pineapples, I'll ferment it. Brown sugar, some cinnamon, some clove. Oh hell yeah, that stuff's delicious. I can ferment all sorts of stuff. And then the distillation process, you can take something and make a pretty decent product out of it. So I'm wondering, can creamed corn be used to ferment, or is it like too laden with preservatives potentially? I'm not sure about that myself. I would have to do the research, but if it's something that's possible, you think it's something that could go in the game?
I think you need to try it for science and then post your results.
I think I will. I think I'll have to do that.
I like this plan.
Very cool. Very cool. Alright, so I think I'm going to get going with the first video here. So it's going to be kind of a little rough transition. I'm going to be switching scenes here. And while the video is going, I'm just going to have my mic muted and be interacting with chat. And that's what we're going to be doing, so everyone can kind of focus in the video and watch it and take it in for what it is. So the first one here is actually my first 11 minutes of gameplay that I took on Tuesday. It wasn't really any rush, except I only had a 1 GB memory card, and that pretty much filled it up. So I had to upgrade before coming back for some more film. Alright, so I'm gonna switch it over here, and VLC should be up. There we go. Which video? H1Z1 gameplay footage 1. Now it is a little bit shaky. I don't have a tripod and I don't really have a fancy camera, so hopefully next year I'll be able to accommodate those things, but this year it's a little on the rough side. Alright.
Only start off with just a few items, so you would know the basics. So you know how to craft a campfire, a bandage, you know how to get charcoal, that kind of thing. But as you want to go through everything and learn how to do different stuff, come over here to our discovery window. Yeah. So I know I have scrap metal. I know there's something I can build with scrap metal. I'm going to drop it discovery, and it says I still need to have one other item. Not sure what that item is, but I have to figure out what it is. Once I figure that out, the ingredients will come together and it'll tell me what I can build. So right now I can build quite a few things actually. Build a bandage. Over here. Where'd you go, bandage? Inventory is having issues. Alright. So you have seen the off-roader before, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen what the mechanics are like for it recently.
Would you like to drive it, go through and have some fun on your own? Alright, so let me... That one was locked, that's why we were having issues spawning it. Also bring up, you have gas now, so that's something you need to watch. Hunger, thirst, stamina, and health like you did before. Now if you want to go for it, there's a path that leads up through here and kind of down another road. There should be zombies more towards the end. You're going to pass a kind of a fortress that was built up as well. So if you want to, go for it.
Cool. Is there any way I can get to hold the camera here for a bit while I play?
Yeah, go for it. Oh, you want me to back up a little bit? Get you in there too?
Mostly just focus on the screen here to be perfect.
Alright.
It's, I can get my pretty face on the screen anytime. It's showing off the, oh, no you don't. There you go.
So go for that zombie right now. Yeah. Do that blood splatter and the ragdoll effect.
We'll have the backpack there and everything.
Awesome. So somebody else died there. That zombie, they got zombified, and that was all the stuff that they had on them.
Oh yeah, Duke collector and
all
ammo.
sorts of stuff.
Man.
Alright, looks like our inventory might be full, so pick and choose what you want to grab.
Someone went a little gung-ho with the
wood?
Yeah. So I see there's delete. Like it seems weird
There
that
is
players
delete.
can
So if you want
remove items from the world like that.
Because you respawn in so easily, so if you want to do something like that, you're not necessarily ruining the environment. In order to change out your clothes there, what you're going to have to do is remove what's in that clothing pocket.
Gotcha. How do I know what's in the,
So if you scroll up a little bit, yeah, it'll say Navy Teacher or Type, and you drop those two things down. You can just delete the fuel. That's an empty water bottle. There you go.
There we go.
Awesome. Cool. If you switch out to third person, you'll be able to see that change. That's key. After you get out of your inventory. Oh, there we
vehicle deformation. Like I think of GTA games, and after you run over 2 or 3 people,
Right.
like the vehicle's all messed up.
So your vehicle will start taking damage. Right now, it doesn't. You won't see the change. It will smoke if you run into a large building at high speed, that kind of thing, and it will eventually explode. Like many of the tanks in Planet Side 2, you'll get that same explosion. There will be splash damage off of that explosion. A couple of playtests, I've been killed by said explosion.
So yeah,
cars are not always the best covers.
I understand that a lot of what went into Planet Side 2 has gone into this, so I can understand you don't want to be
take a
close
left
to a
up here,
vehicle when it's exploding.
It's running out back.
That debris will kill you. The debris, the explosion itself. So, are there any other working vehicles right now, or is it just the off-roader?
Right now, the only thing that we're showcasing in E3 is the off-road. So this is our multi-purpose. You can hold up to 4 characters right now, which is great. You can jump in, you have the buddies who've gone through doing co-op, you can have them collect fuel for you. Maybe as far as like gas money goes, that's the thing. And that's a very basic example of what our crafting is at right now. So you have the basic wooden structure on top, and you also have a shoe collector as well. Being that during your playtest you're only able to find 3 crowbars, you weren't really able to build up. There's shoe collectors, animal traps, things like that. You'll be able to pick up meat.
So all shirts have pockets now?
All shirts have pockets? Right now, all shirts have pockets.
Where'd that gun go? Oh well.
Right now, the M16 is right there. So you probably want to hold on to that because it has a decent amount of ammo. Right. That was actually an emote. So again, I'm not sure how much you went over it during your playtest. But
Wait, is that an emote or is that the push?
That is push.
That's the push.
But F1 and F2 over there, which is yeah. So you have a wave and you have both hands up. So you can use that to communicate with players quickly if you would like.
That's right. That's the I'm Adam Flake, please kill me sign.
Actually, turn around and follow the road that way.
What am I doing?
And when you start to see trailers up on the left, slow up for a bit. I want to show you a bit of the day-night cycle and also rain. And actually, you saw rain earlier, but just in the video, it'll show off rain.
Actually, can I turn up the rain for a second?
Go for it. If you remember the command.
I don't think we're giving it away right now. Alright.
There you go, the rain has started.
Doesn't need to be the full, like, blinding rain. Gotta leave some for people to see when the game comes to early access.
So right now, on the video, you'll probably see it. There was a zombie that walked up and touched the vehicle. The vehicle right now is pretty much in bug zapper mode to really show that ragdoll effect. If you jump out here and let me give you a bit of a challenge to change the day-night cycle on you. Well, too late. Startled the horde.
Is that the trailer playing in the background there?
Yep. Nice.
Can I set it to full
That's
auto?
perfect. Right now this is the civilian version, I believe, so it does not have a fully automatic function. Perfect.
Is that bullet drop in the distance?
Right now, I'm not sure. I haven't experienced bullet drop myself during a playtest, so I don't think it's been implemented.
So here's a question animation. As I look in like really close, I can see a lot of like staticky noise coming along with the rain. Is that
like the rain? That's because of night. If you ever gone out at night where you have barely any light, you'll notice your own vision starts to get a little grainy, and that's something you'll see here.
Hey.
So if you would like, you can change to about midnight or so, and you'll definitely be able to see that effect.
I'm on the
9:14.
Getting close to the end here then. Yeah, if you want to switch it up tonight real quick.
Grab that. Dirt. There we go. You should switch that to about a rainy 4 a.m. and now you can see, I'm going to turn off the lights here. You can see that kind of grainy aspect going along outside of the campfire. You can come up here to see the reflection along the top of the gun as well, and how light plays into effect.
That's really sweet.
Let's see, let's add some ammo so I can show off the reload. I really like the reload animation. I know it's nothing special, but just sometimes, depending on what
It's a good technical reload animation. It's not meant to be like fancy ninja, you know, drop the clip and do some fancy behind the back pass and it's reloaded or something. You know, it's a reload.
It's smooth, it's nice.
It's functional. It's what it's supposed to be.
Out of here, you managed to get on top of the Jeep and just wipe out everything. I wanted to show off the flashes on the zombies' faces, but didn't leave me anything left to kill.
Oh, well.
Alright. So any other last few questions you might have to ask?
No, that pretty well shows it off. I feel like I got a nice little clip to show here. So, thank you very much for letting me, oh, you want to do that deer there real quick?
I'm going to get after the zombie real quick. The zombie's going after the deer, so again, that death cycle.
Yeah.
Deer got far away, and now they're going after me. And you'll even be able to see the reflection of the muzzle flash on their faces. You can see it right there.
Yeah.
I'll shoot off to the side.
Light them up, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
There you go.
Sweet. Cool. Alright, I'm gonna wrap this up then.
I'm close.
Open the audio back up. So so that was my first little experience at E3 here. I was playing for a lot of that, and then he hopped on for a little bit there to show the horrible faces of the zombies in the night with the muzzle flash. Good time. Skylar, you're still muted.
I know.
I forgot I wasn't. Oops.
I have to. I just would have been laughing the whole time. Oh god.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Oh my god.
So,
that trans deer doe.
Indeed, the trans deer. Yeah, how's it going?
Nothing beats it.
So, anybody who just tuned in the middle of that, this is Dead Feature Rant. I am the host, as I am every week, Legendary Neurotoxin. To my screen left is Skylatron, and to my screen right is Tessachka. So, we're going to kind of continue the discussion here. So we got to see quite a little bit in that video. There's a bit of showing off the discovery system at the beginning and a little bit of the crafting. Not really getting too big into it though, because it was just kind of, you know, showing where kind of how it works and where things go. A bit of driving around and the mention of the vehicle mechanics. Right now it'll explode and kill anybody nearby. So some fun stuff with that. My favorite part, of course, was the zombie massacre. I'm just gonna get up on top of the vehicle where they can't reach me and just spam bullets at them. And of course, because I have a mighty fast left click, I was able to make it look like it was an auto-fire weapon. So fun stuff. Fun stuff. Oh yes, Kirby. I agree, Vinzor. He would not survive it. Maybe he would do pretty well in a zombie apocalypse. I don't know. He'd probably just eat everything.
That's a legitimate way to get through zombie apocalypse, I think.
Yeah, totally. Why not?
I can
mean,
see him
eat
doing
the
that.
zombies.
Yeah.
They might zombify
Depending on
you,
the kind
but-
of zombies, then maybe.
Good point.
Okay. So, did either of you have anything in particular from that video that you wanted to talk about or mention or ask about? Or
So one question I've heard a lot is how difficult will it be to have cars and things like that? I mean, I've heard all sorts of things and read all sorts of things on Reddit about them making it more difficult in terms of like, there's going to be a gas counter, right? There's going to be like a, like, are you going to be able to just find a vehicle and there'll be keys and everything will work and all you'll need is find gas, or will you have to like repair it and find parts?
you might have to repair it and find parts. We didn't really see any of that stuff, and I don't know how far along they are with the system right now. But from what I understand, finding the car, finding an automobile is just one part of it. Maintaining it and actually being able to fuel it, that's an entirely different situation. It's nice. No rainbow deer. Yeah.
sound like-
So, like, the idea of farming and making your own ethanol from corn, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's definitely one thing that can help out, but, you're also going to need pretty much any parts that could break down on the vehicle, you're going to have to be able to replace. And I can see it being something that the longer the vehicle is around, the more critical a part could need to be replaced. And if you've actually got that vehicle running, pretty much for 3 months straight, maybe the head gasket blows or something, and it's like, well, it's going to be a hell of a lot to try to replace or fix that, or maybe I just need to try to hitch a ride with someone else and find where we know that there are vehicles and try to get another.
I think that would be a pretty epic way to troll. Just run around and find vehicles and drive them on sprint the whole time, so that you run out of gas, and then just leave it there and keep doing that, so that people have to use all their resources to fix and refill.
Then I would just create the scene from the 15 years after the incident version from the 12-hour H1Z1 demo, and pretty much have the giant intersection full of all sorts of cars and strip out all the parts that I can after getting all the fuel out and just leave this big mess. It's like, why did this happen? Everyone will know it's me because, of course, I said about it, and I'll be like going everywhere in all the forums. Be like, hey, look what kind of dick move I did. Try dealing with this, you jerks. You're going to have to go around this intersection. French Revolution. Because that was totally what they did. They blocked the intersections.
That's legit. That is a way to do things.
Indeed.
Get things done.
I mean, one of the coolest things I found in MMOs in general, or at least the ones that I've spent the most time in, being Landmark and Eve, is that you can play the game in so many different ways. You can, I mean, in Eve, there's practically an infinite number of things you can do in terms of whether you want to just craft or just trade or do PvP, or how do you want to do PvP? Do you want to do PvP in nullsec or wormholes or lowsec or all three?
Yeah.
There's a million different things you can do. And Landmark is the same. I mean, literally, people playing Landmark have come up with ways to play the game that the devs never would have thought of. I know of another streamer that created an arena where you basically try to block people in. Like there's specific blocks that he built, and you can copy them, and then you build around a person, and the person tries to escape and build around you. And they basically created PvP in the game when there was no PvP in the game.
I was there for that, actually. I was in one of the first rounds of that, undefeated.
I remember.
Yeah. D-Man and Branksy, they could not defeat me. My voxel powers were too mighty that day. I haven't fought anybody since then. I don't know if I want to have my record tarnished until we get into live or something. But soon we'll have real combat with real weapons soon, and that should be a lot of fun in Landmark. But I mean, that is what's so fun about sandbox games, and what's really going to be fun with H1Z1. And I know this is from the developer standpoint, this is one of their things that they're going to have fun with, is putting recipes in the game, sneaking things in the game, finding different ways that you can make an item that you didn't have the ability to make it that way before, or being able to make a new item and there's only one way or two ways you can make it, but it's a new item that nobody had discovered before. So after every patch, there's going to be a group of people that's just going there, cycling through all the different items in the inventory and trying to find all the different combinations and like try to spread that news to everybody. And even then, they might not be able to find everything. There might be some things that are like really obscure, like you have to combine, you know, this completed item with this completed item and 2 units of animal fat or something like that, and I don't know what it makes, but it better be damned awesome.
Yeah, the discovery of things is going to be really interesting in this game. I think that's going to be one of the most fun features, or one of the features. Definitely, and just figuring out how. I'm sure they're figuring this out as they're building the game. You know, how many ways can you play? Like how many ways can you craft a thing? How many ways can you put together your defenses for your base? I mean, there's I don't know. Did you get to see any of the building aspects, Nero, at E3?
Actually, watching the process, I don't really remember, but I did see some slightly built up stuff, a little structure with a little dew collector on it. So there were definitely things there that you know, had been built by players rather than just being the existing infrastructure in the world. But I didn't actually watch the process or do the process because I figured that's going to take a long time. I could spend 30 minutes building a house, or I could spend 30 minutes, you know, trying to survive. And that was actually one of the videos, and I'll probably cue it up here in just a moment. But before that, there was one other thing, and I think I talk about it a little bit in the next video. If not, it was definitely something that I had talked about and brought up a few times. The idea of different materials being able to create the same item but with different attributes. If you use more of a neutral oil of some sort, like a synthetic oil, for your torch, it's going to maybe burn, it might not burn any cleaner, but it's going to put off more of a chemically odor, versus if you're using animal fat and bandages to make your, you know, bandages that were torn from a shirt someone was wearing, some stinky old shirt, you burn that as a torch, well, you know, that's going to have all sorts of like nasty fleshy smell to it, and that would probably be actually attractive to zombies. So that's something I'm wondering about, is if we would actually have, not necessarily specified on the item, maybe you'd like inspect it, like you'd sniff it and, you know, look at it or whatever, not lick it, but look at it. I know I said, didn't quite enunciate that very well. I don't know, maybe lick it too. I wouldn't recommend it, but you know, inspecting an item and understanding, you know, what kind of version of it is this? Is this a meat torch, or is this a good torch? You know, is this a you know, having just a piece of meat, and then you have to inspect it to know if it's a rotten piece of meat or if it's good, or kind of what state it's in.
So I thought that the zombies, like the way that the AI works is it's by sound and heat. Like things have heat signatures. So I would assume any kind of torch would attract them just because it's got heat, right?
I think heat might be a misnomer in this sense. When they talk about heat, they're talking about the activity map, that the more activity there is in an area, the more it goes from like green to yellow to red to purple or whatever, to indicate the higher level of activity. When they're talking about heat, I believe that's what they're talking about. Now, you know, light radius is definitely, light is something that they're attracted to, and scent is definitely something they're attracted to. Heat, I'm not sure. I think some of them might be line of sight, and some of them might be heat signature. That might be you know, a variation of zombies that we see as the game goes on. Or even when the game actually goes out. So yeah, it would be an interesting feature, but I understand also from the yeah, so that's not the meaning of heat. I could understand from a developer's perspective why having the different the meat torch versus the standard torch or whatever could be a little bit of an encumbrance on the system, or it also could be something that, you know, could be really fun and interesting and really allow them to add diversity to the items you find in the world. You go to a store, you're expecting things that are, you know, manufactured, you know, or things that you'd find in a warehouse, but it turns out some jerk was like, haha, I'm gonna leave like 20 meat torches up in here just to, you know, screw with somebody. Or whatever, I don't know, the things it might be.
Trolling is definitely, the different ways that people come up to troll is definitely going to be interesting to see. And also if SOE does anything to combat some of that. Like, is it a gameplay mechanic, or is it, you know, bad for the game? So that'll be really interesting to see what happens.
I think the answer is, well, you gave us ramps.
Yeah, yep.
What do you expect was going to happen? You gave us ramps.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I definitely think that there will be things, especially as they roll out, you know, early access, things that people discover that they maybe didn't realize people were going to discover. Just like in Landmark, there's so many things that are possible that, you know, different people see a lot of different potential ways to exploit the game or exploit the mechanics of the game towards their benefit. So we'll find out a lot of interesting things, I think, when it actually hits that we weren't expecting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm also wondering what kind of stuff we're going to have that we don't even know about, that maybe hasn't even been talked about. Like, if you're in the car with somebody else, can you actually try to attack them? Like, if you've got somebody you picked up on the road and it's like, nope, we're going to kill them. Instead of actually having to remove them from the vehicle and, like, you know, drive forward a little bit and then back up over them, or however you're going to kill them, you just do it in the car. You know, it's kind of cruel and kind of gritty, but hey, that's a survival game for you.
That's what they got for getting in the car with
Yep,
you.
exactly. And likewise, that's what you got for letting them in the car with that machete. I could see it being a big source of trolling, though. I'm not sure if they would actually. I could, you know, I just walk in a car. Hey, why are you lighting that torch? And then the interior, you know, all whatever fake and synthetic material that just lights on fire, that's lining the entire thing, just. And then there's one less vehicle in the world.
That's another good question. So how will the spawn rate like work for things like vehicles? I mean, are there going to be a limited number per island? Because if it's something that we have to find and then repair, you know, how many vehicles are there? Is there going to be competition between players for vehicles that are just sort of sitting out there? Can you go into someone's base and steal their fully repaired and functional and gassed up, you know, Jeep?
There will be keys. There will be keys and there will be locks. There might be some amount of, if you have the right kind of tools, being able to pick the lock and hotwire the vehicle. That might be an option, but then again, if you do that, if you have to like break the lock open to do that, you're not going to be able to just fix the lock and then use it on your own. It's probably going to be a busted lock until somebody has even more of the right tools to fix it. Yes, hotwire. That's that thing people used to do with old cars. I think people still do it. Cars get stolen. But that's also something interesting, is like the level of how intact the vehicle will be relative to what kind of tools you have to get into it, and you know, even the make and model of the car. Some older cars you might be able to just use a wire coat hanger to pop the lock and get into, versus other ones you might have to the police what's it called, the Slim Jim or whatever. That's actually, you know, specifically designed to get those locks open. So, or you just say screw it and hatch it, you know, make a little bit of noise, but you're getting in a vehicle anyway, so whatever. Scoop the glass out and then get on the seat and start driving. Or actually don't even start driving, then you have to pop stuff open and start playing with wires and hope the battery's going. Don't lick the battery. Do not lick a car battery to see if it's working or not. Bad idea.
That seems like a good way to go about life. I don't understand. And you'll be a zombie real fast.
Yeah. Though I wonder if someone can stand by a car with alligator clips on the battery, and then the other end it's like, all right, come at me, and just zap zombies with that battery. It'd be fun. They have a portable version of that too. Just make sure you don't let them touch, or
This is
don't.
another question I had, or some of my viewers had when I talked about it. Was what is the power system going to be like? Like, are there going to be lights that we can power with what batteries, solar power? Is there going to be some kind of functioning electrical system anywhere?
Probably like
Curious about that
solar
too.
and kinetic, and if you can get a generator like a biodiesel generator going, that's totally awesome. But it's also one of those like heat map and infrastructure things like I've discussed in previous episodes. You can't just have a crap shack with a generator and expect to live. That heat map is just going to get, knocked all the way into the red. Everything from all the way around is going to be basically coming your way one way or another, players, zombies, and otherwise. So it's you can't just do that. You got to have the infrastructure. You've got to have multiple people. You've got to have some way to defend it. Otherwise, someone's probably just going to knock down your crap shack wall and steal your generator.
Yep.
Or just build up around, and it's like, no, this is my house now. Which is possible. If they kill you, then your land claim is basically gone there. You don't have any claim to it anymore. They can just knock your crap shack walls down and build up nice, sturdy L-shaped structures around it or whatever. The cycles they make hurts indeed. Power, very passionate about. That's really cool. It'll be really, and I'm really interested in seeing how that's all going to work out, because there's a lot of things that use just the smallest of batteries, will run for a long time. But if you don't have those batteries, well, it's basically just a pretty watch around your wrist. It isn't telling time or anything. Though I don't really know. Time is going to be one of those things. You've got the sun in the sky, and you can put a stick in the ground if you really need to know. But otherwise, it's going to be pretty easy to tell kind of what time of day it is. And people are going to get really keen to that really quickly, because the darker it gets, and when it gets to nighttime, it gets really, really dangerous.
Oh, it gets. Did you get to play it all during the night, or get to see the full night?
I've seen night in its various different phases, the earlier version and the most recent version. Yeah, that's you're looking at silhouettes basically. You're looking at silhouettes and layers of creating darkness basically.
It was pretty terrifying. I was like trying to move around to see if if I sit up higher, can I see more? Nope, it's just black. Oh.
Yeah. Nothing you could do about that, and there's no way you can gamma exploit it. It's so dark that it's just not, your screen's just going to be all washed out with white. You're still not going to be able to see what's in the distance. So it's definitely the darkest of dark night. This is, I think, even darker than they actually had PlanetSide 2. So
Nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. That'll be good for jump scares.
oh yeah,
For me, playing scary games, the atmosphere is huge. It's absolutely huge. I mean, especially because I play a lot of them, I definitely tend to get a little bit sort of used to the scares. That's why I have to change my follower sounds all the time, but notification sounds all the time. But from what I saw of the game, the darkness is real. The atmosphere is very, very intense. And I saw some gameplay when Paul Carrico was messing around with the Borscht thing. He showed us also the day to night cycles and the rain, and how rain makes everything look super, super slick and even darker. You would think,
yes.
a little bit of rain might sort of illuminate some things. No, it makes things super, super, super dark and cool looking. It was extremely atmospheric, and I wasn't even playing. I was watching someone else play. So that I'm very much looking forward to.
Yep. In fact, if I remember correctly, the gameplay demo that I've got here is in the night cycle, or it gets into, and that's something I've kind of been wondering about. Is it actually a real 24-hour day-night cycle, or is it going to be some sort of accelerated? Because this is Earth, this isn't like the zombie virus happened and oh yeah, we've been teleported closer to the sun and we're somehow orbiting at some slower pace or something and not being cooked. I don't know. Like the mechanics of having not a 24-hour system seems a little bit weird for it. I understand for gameplay mechanics, but you know, at the same time, it's Earth, you know.
Yeah, I think they'll still accelerate it though, because you know, if I can only play at 6 p.m. every day and it's like midnight in the game at 6 p.m. every day, that would really suck.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're gonna accelerate it some. I don't know if they've said what the time is though.
Maybe that'll be a server rule set thing, because I actually like the idea that if I log on at a specific time, that's the phase that the game is in, so that if I'm actually working with people to set shifts, if I've got my Australian or European buddies or whatever, New Zealanders or whoever, helping take over during the nighttime, and then likewise I'm part of the crew that helps them on their server during the nighttime, we can kind of take shifts during the dangerous part and keep assaults at bay. Meanwhile, when we're actually playing during our actual, you know, playtime, it'll be daytime for most of the time when I'm playing. The danger level is much lower, and I can be a lot more productive on my server. So, on one hand, the accelerated time definitely does give a lot of benefit to people who, you know, aren't able to, you know, play whenever they want, and it's just going to be the consistent time, and only having that phase I could see being really repetitive. But at the same time, I really would love to see the 24-hour system on some of them, just so that way it can actually be linked with people's actual schedules and actually be, you know, something that people do in kind of a regimented way. I might not necessarily do that, but I know there's probably a lot of people. I bet there's like at least one group of current and ex-military survival sim aficionados that already have their group together. They already have their plan worked out. They're just waiting for early access, and they're just going to be that one part in the radio show where it's the fort that Double D almost gets ganked at the gate by 2 snipers. So that's kind of what I'm seeing with it.
My only problem with that is, I mean, it's going to segregate people a little bit, you know. There will be people, like, I would like to play with those hardcore guys, but I don't necessarily always want to be playing at night or always want to be playing in the dark either, and I have a fairly set schedule. I think it would be very cool if it cycled, but the cycles were long and they were predictable in the sense that they were consistent. You know, if they're going to keep it always, like, let's say it's a 6-hour cycle, or a 4-hour cycle or whatever it is, but it was the same every 4 hours and everybody knew which hours would be dark and which hours would be night, then it would still be possible to do what you said, to you know, schedule sort of defense ops during the appropriate times without having to always be on.
Yeah.
As long as it stayed consistent. And it would still be fair to those people that can only play, you know, in their given time zone during a certain period of time.
Right. Like I said, it'd be great as a server rule set sort of thing that, you know, maybe some people want to do it one way, maybe some people want to do it the other, maybe some people want to try it both ways and determine for themselves which one they want to do. So, and this would be the time, of course, in the earlier phases to really figure that sort of thing out. So when the game actually launches live and it's free to play, and the rest of everybody that didn't get early access comes in, which I don't know, like, I imagine everybody's going to be getting into the game pretty quickly because it is looking like the best of the zombie survival games, considering it is an MMO from a AAA company using their patented AAA license, you know, not the AAA Forge Light engine that makes awesome games. You know, they're in great shape with it. There's no amount of like running into a problem where light's going to clip through walls until they do some major overhaul to the engine. That's not going to happen. It's, you know, they're going to be able to fix all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And when we actually do have everybody coming through, it should be pretty awesome to see how they react to what we've been able to help SOE shape the game into at that point. because just like with Landmark and EverQuest Next, we're going to be a big part of helping them make the game. Survival Borscht, for example. Or if they actually do put in the Anvil Factory, I'll put my feather on that one, feather in a cap on that one, because that's something I've been saying since the 12-hour demo, and I still want to see an Anvil Factory. There need to be some Looney Tunes style shenanigans going on, just anvils dropping on people left and right, making musical notes as they fall in a different pattern. All that fun stuff. Turning the survival game into just this hilarious, like, maniacal, weird thing. And then having Tess play the area that I've created, because jumps and screams.
Yay!
Yeah, Sony's approach to letting... Oh, she's falling. Letting their players have as much of a say as we do in the game development is probably my favorite thing that they're doing right now. Like, even if they were making a game genre that I hated, the fact that they're so open with their development is really awesome, and I think that it's definitely going to make a difference, make this game stand out from the other zombie survival games.
Yes, I hugely agree with that. I mean, how open they've been with Landmark and with this game. Like, there are lots and lots of gamers that I know that are interested in one or the other game that it's completely not their style of game. I mean, Ara_gaming, my very good friend and streamer, is one of them. She, like, H1Z1 is not really the type of game that she would normally go for, but she's super interested in checking it out because it's SOE and because of how open they've been about the development of both Landmark and H1Z1. She's a Landmark streamer. For me, playing Landmark, it's totally not my type of game. It's totally not the type of game I would normally go for. But because they've been so open about the development and just, I mean, the community that exists and how much that community is involved with the gameplay and the development of the game, it's been so interesting that it's gotten me completely hooked.
For sure. And it'll be really fun when we get even more of the features in. I'm sure people are going to want to try to do H1Z1 style content in Landmark, just because, you step on the person's claim, you walk in the house, you press the button or whatever, and then, hey, there's zombies everywhere. Also, you're limited to a very simple jump and no grappling hook. Good luck. That should be a lot of fun, and of course the voxel deformation would make that kind of an interesting experience too, because as we've seen, the world of H1Z1 is not voxel based. It is all props and models and everything, so it's it's not going to have that level of deformation. It'll have its own different level of how things break down, show wear, and get destroyed. But it's it'll be a different sort of thing. So we're about an hour into the show. I have a fairly long clip to show, and this is basically what no grapple yet, stay tuned. Nice. That's what I like to hear. Be all like Batman up in there.
Nice.
So yeah, this is something I kind of want to show. It's a bit of a long video, but it's showing just how difficult the game actually is, because it's no dev cheats, starting after a life that tragically ended in a Jeep running into a vehicle that just spawned right in front of it, just popped in right in front of it. Didn't spawn, but just drew in right in front, and then at full speed, and collision, explosion, and it's like, oh well. So had the camera rolling already, so just kind of rolled with it. We started it, and I didn't realize, but yeah, it's like 29 minutes of our friend, I believe it was Greg, who was doing the videos or the demos and stuff there. No, it was I wasn't actually driving cycles. It was Greg doing the demos, and no, it really did just pop out of nowhere. That's I didn't want to show that part because it looks a little buggy. But yeah, so we start in the world, normal starting equipment, no guns, no extra stuff, and he manages to keep it going for almost 30 minutes there, but not having found any guns or transportation or anything to really help him out, and being out of stamina the entire time, even the weakened versions of the zombies that were put in for E3 to allow people the ability to survive a little bit better and show it off a little bit longer, even with that, it's still just, you got overwhelmed at the end, and you'll see that. So I'm gonna cue that up like last time. I'm gonna mute my mic, and so are the awesome guests here, and we're just gonna be interacting in chat while the video goes. So I'm going to mute here and switch scenes and get it going.
Alva, admin respawn.
Yep.
Cool stuff. Cool. This is actually something I kind of wanted to see, is starting from scratch, starting without anything. So like the new player experience, like how you would actually get from this to something worthwhile to actually be a viable something in the world.
So right now, my character is dying. All of my items that were previously on me are gone. You start off with the axe, the flashlight. Right now, things are still up there. You have your shirt and pants, which also have limited inventory spaces of their own. As I said before, your crafting system sticks with you. So that's our player progression right now.
Oh wait, so you're saying when you die you lose your crafting stuff, right?
No, I was saying right now, the way it looks right now, again, pre-alpha, your crafting recipes stick with you because your character has learned that.
Right.
That may change later. It may be permadeath, and that character never comes back again. We don't know. That's beautiful. So, let's see. If you spawn in H1Z1, you might end up spawning in the middle of nowhere. And because we have a great viewpoint of great render distance as far as the world goes, not necessarily on fronts right now, as you saw earlier. Just kind of look for anything that might be civilization. That's awesome. So that's what we want to see.
Yep.
See a telephone pole. Telephone poles are generally along the sides of the roads, and roads will lead to cities. So lucky for us, we didn't spawn too far away from this road. So that's the first point I'm going to go. Way off in the distance, you can even see a water tower. So that water tower is actually fairly close to a town. I've been there before in a couple of previous lives. So now we're at the road. I'm looking around, and check it out. We're already close to one of the cities.
That's something I've talked about a lot of times with Landmark, the idea of having something large people can see in the distance. Going back to real, like, old school, you know, no compasses, no maps, that sort of stuff. How people would get around is very large structures built so people could see, you know, where they were coming from and where they were going. And a lot of times, I know with, in Europe, for example, a lot of church and religious structures served that purpose. The steeple wasn't just tall for the whole, like, oh, being closer to God or whatever, but the actual functional purpose that people could see it from further and be able to get to it, you know, without losing their way. So, to that respect, the poles, the water towers, and all of that stuff, it's absolutely perfect, and it serves a really great function in the game here.
Alright. So
So far, haven't. Oh, Zed's.
Quite a few zombies over there, being that I just logged my act, kind of trying to figure out how I want to play this.
Oh,
But
nope, they found you.
if I really wanted to, I could go back out into the wilderness and keep going until I want to find something quick. And I'm just going to come through here, check these dumpsters.
I'm gonna switch sides actually. I think the light's messing with it a little bit here. Yeah, I think this is. Just edit that part out.
So right now I'm looking for both a defensible space because there are quite a few zombies around me. And let's see, that's just not tall enough. So reach me.
So the zombies don't seem as tough as they used to be. They don't seem like they do as much damage. It seems like maybe they take as many hits as they used to, but...
The damage has been dropped just before E3. I noticed that in the playtest. As far as the percentage that they drop, it's only about 2% of your health right now. Again, being that I was just playtesting the game, I can't say if that will be a permanent feature. That was done just for the sake of E3 to make things easier.
Yeah. The last time I played it, and kind of the balance that I was expecting up to this point was zombie hits you 3 times, you're more or less dead.
Zombies will definitely prove to be quite a threat. Right now, we have a couple commands that allow us just to kick us back up to max health, so I'm essentially just running around here without actually fearing these zombies. And
so you broke that window to get in there.
Right.
The glass around the edges of a window isn't a harm though, is it?
Not at this point, no, it's not. The zombies are trying to figure out if they would fit through that window, and decided they weren't able to, so they're about to come in. I've startled quite a few of them.
Yeah.
So instead
you broke glass.
Right. So instead of staying in my area, I'm actually going to keep running. Unfortunately,
yeah, I was about to say your stamina's getting a little low there, so.
So what I'm going to want to do to get away from these zombies is try and break line of sight in any way I can. That's going to be going over the tops of a hill or getting behind a fence. Not only will it... Nope.
And then what's your next priority after line of sight? Is it trying not to be... Okay, just distance.
Definitely going to be line of sight and distance.
Okay.
Those are two of the main priorities that I have personally when I'm running away.
Right.
My stamina is dropped to 0. You're still able to sprint and move when your stamina is at 0, but it is very, very slow. They're still coming after me.
Can your character like shower or use deodorant or something to reduce their like smell aggro?
Oh, it's post-apocalyptic. Those are one of the great senses of civilization that just are not functioning anymore.
Or at least like some sort of body spray or something that's so foul and like toxic in nature that zombies won't even recognize it as human.
Just a repel, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, just, you know, pick whatever body spray is being advertised on the TV, douse your character in that, and they shouldn't smell too appealing anymore. Probably wouldn't taste too good either. I don't know how much the zombies really care about flavor, because I'm still not sure if they're like bite and move on, just trying to infect everybody, or if they're bite, eat, and then move on. And I think that's still something that's kind of in flux with the lore right now too.
So it has been, this idea has been tossed around a bit that when your character dies, if the zombie gets to your character, you will in turn, your corpse will be zombified. And in order to get your stuff back, you will have to find that zombie and kill it to get your stuff. I'm still trying to run away from these zombies.
Yeah, I know. This is actually a really good demo here because it's showing people, you start the game, it's not easy. It is not easy at all.
H1Z1 is definitely that hardcore survival MMO.
Yeah, it's
trying to run through these buildings, trying to do my best to break line of sight again.
I guess I've gotten used to this style of gameplay. I've been playing so many procedural roguelikes. I expect to only die about 5-10 minutes in. So, you know, this is it's definitely not going to be unfamiliar to me. The idea of, you know, you start your character, you might find a couple cool items, and then you're dead because like 50 zombies just kind of surrounded you.
So obviously, when you're starting right off the bat, if you see a town or something line infested with zombies, don't do what I did.
Yeah, don't go to
it
it.
anyways.
To be fair, you went around a few corners before you finally found the first one.
Right. To be fair, to give me some... No, that was just a bad idea. I'm at 0% here. Alright, so lucky for me, a deer actually ran in front of a few of those zombies, and they got more interested in that deer. So that's what's going on, is they're able to start chasing that. I think there's only one more on me right now.
If you had lit one of the zombies on fire, would it have drawn aggro off from some of the ones chasing the burning one?
No, it would still be towards you.
Okay.
Because you're attacking them, it's still considered part of that attack.
Okay.
I guess
it seems like the smell of burning flesh is something that they would hone in on, but, or maybe not. Maybe all burning things, maybe smoke and fire is like citronella to zombies, and it's just like, don't want any of it. Because that could actually create a completely different set of strategies. Like you could just light a perimeter of trees on fire and just kind of sit in that. You're going to get all smoky. Your stamina maybe should get reduced or something, maybe even your health from just being in all of that smoke. But at the same time, the zombies ain't going to come for you.
Fortunately, I was able to break line of sight, and the zombies that were chasing me aggroed onto another deer, which was closer, and being that zombies aggroed to anything with the brain, I was able to shake them. I think they might still be over that ridge, but I'm fairly confident at this point that I was able to get away. There they are, off in the distance there.
So,
and I'm walking along, trying to rebuild my stamina in case there are even more zombies on the other side. My health has already been dropped down to 26%, and that's after that was changed for E3. So I definitely would not have been able to survive if I took on that or more.
There's just a little road outpost. Any goodies?
Awesome. Great. Yeah. So we already picked up the backpack earlier. The backpack is definitely something you're going to be looking for. That and right now a sewing kit is nearly invaluable for all the things you can craft with that. Whoa. Alright. That was the town that we just passed. It was nice. Filled with zombies. It's certainly a game that you will have an advantage if you're playing cooperatively with a few players. So you can get in there. Maybe one could chase the deer through, and the other could go through, loot all the items, and then share the items with each other. That way, you don't have to worry about your hunger and your thirst meter. That whole sequence of me running around, trying to run away from the zombies, get a better position. Already, my survival meters are they're down there. Being that this game is in pre-alpha, not everywhere has been fully populated or even set to the ground properly.
Yeah.
So we might actually be running onto the edge of some of the pre-built areas. Cool. Finding a lot of scrap metal and cloth.
What was that last thing? Was that camo?
That was a shirt, actually. That was a
Mark
t-shirt. So
on the live stream of gameplay before E3, I noticed a typo. The forest camo, 2 R's in forest.
There are a few issues with that. Ammo is currently ammos.
Nice.
You pick that up. So I mean, there are quite a few things that need to be changed. Not only just a few bugs in the game, but some I'll say translation issues.
I want that as an in-game character voice emote. I need ammos.
I need ammos. Okay. So that wolf was going after deer, now it's after me. I'm going to try and see if I can dispatch this wolf before it gets to me. Awesome. So,
is there any benefit to lighting a wolf on fire? Is it just going to be a flaming wolf on top of you at that point?
So it will be a flaming wolf, but what's great about setting stuff on fire is that at nighttime like this, it will be able to light things that are around you. Not light them on fire, but just as far as vision goes, you'll be able to see. Which is something that I've tried to do quite a bit. Let's see if I can move this axe around.
For some reason, I imagine people are going to call squirrels running torches.
You're able to do that. Oh, hey, right, emotes. You guys have already seen that.
Yeah.
They're still here. Unfortunately, the server is just by itself, so these emotes aren't exactly useful right now.
Yeah. It's so good that they're there. You have a crouch, right?
Yes, we have a crouch. We would like to have a prone coming up pretty soon. Let's see if I just ended up blocking this guy up.
Round prone, you said?
We're hoping we'll have, yes, some kind of a prone.
Nice.
But that's something I believe they were talking, saying that they wanted to get that in before the free alpha or before early access is released. So there's just a kind of a backlist of things that they'd like to add.
Right.
So now that we finally have logs, we go over back to our crafting list. What do I need? I need this stick. Awesome. So that's a great example of knowing how to build things right off the bat. So I'm able to come over here, and I already have my torch, which is great for, again, lighting things on fire. That will allow me to build a campfire, place that down, light that on fire, maybe. Yes, there we go.
I definitely want to see like a different, like one being to swing the torch, but another just like kind of wave it in front to yeah. In due time, I understand all that takes animations and all that stuff. The one thing about ground prone, and it doesn't affect H1Z1, but it does affect SOE, is that every single Planet Side 2 player that cares about it is like, oh my god, you got it again, you got it in the Fortnite game, do it. Yeah, I know, but there's so many other considerations that go into it. Plus, I imagine just the amount of, well, okay, there's a lot of, I'm not even going to get into details because there's so many...
Game balance, going all that fun stuff.
Snipers are already hard enough to see, even when they're standing, standing tall, not even crouched.
Oh, infiltrators, that's... I play infiltrator, but that's a talk for another time. So,
one other on the subject before we talk about other stuff, light assault on rooftops, prone, so they just creeping over the edge shooting stuff. That's kind of one of the other reasons I really think people might, in the biolab especially. Yeah. Alright,
so back to H1Z1.
Yeah.
Before my health was incredibly low, so while my wolf meat was cooking, I was able to build a couple bandages and use those. So over here, it's great. My hunger is back up to 96%. Awesome. I'm no longer hungry. I built a campfire, which unfortunately will leave a trail. So if there were any other players or zombies in that area, they would be drawn to that campfire.
Yeah.
I know, again, because I'm certainly one for that PvP aspect. If I see a campfire, if I hear players doing that kind of thing, I would be all over that, because I know if they're crafting, they're going to be focused on crafting or getting meat, that kind of thing, more so than watching their back. That's what I'd be hoping anyway.
Yeah. I can imagine there's going to be a lot of people ganked while crafting.
Right, so again, a great reason to have your friends with you.
Yes.
So something that's, it's bad news for us right now, but it's great news to kind of give out. What you'll notice is cars right now will be pointing away from town. So if you just spawn in, you don't know where you are, you're able to find that road using telephone poles, or you're just able to see it out in the distance. Watching the direction where cars are is a great idea. The cars are facing where the direction we're going, which means they're probably driving away from that town that was infested with zombies, go figure. Alright, so Wolf is still chasing that deer, so we're alright. This is just going to go on for quite a while. So this is when having a vehicle would be absolutely fantastic.
Yep. Or a ranged weapon.
Or a ranged weapon as well. So you will be able to build a bow. I may have said this yesterday, but the bows aren't in the game.
Yeah, I don't think we recorded it, but you showed me kind of what the state of the bow is.
Right.
It's you fire an arrow and then you do the flying fist punch of doom, where you just kind of Yeah.
So
Anyway.
that should be fixed very soon.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, just wasn't there. It was very, very close.
It was very close.
It was
admirable, worthy effort trying to get it ready for E3.
Definitely. What's great about the bow is at its current state, crafted. I'm just going to show the recipe for it. So let's go. Let's see. Do I have it? Yes, I do. Bam. So, wooden bow is going to be a wooden stick that your player can curve, and a piece of cloth that your player uses for the string.
Cloth?
Piece of cloth, but the most.
I could see cloth. I could see. Well, if it weren't for the fact that
very basic right now.
Yeah,
so
like
we'll see if that changes as it goes on.
a shoelace or industrial rubber band. Actually, an industrial rubber band would probably make a pretty good makeshift bow.
Surgical tubing.
Surgical tubing, yeah. I mean, there's two different kind of mechanics. There's more of a rigid bow where it's all the action coming from the string, and then there's a bow that it itself flexes along with the string, so that's where you're getting. So I could see, a lot of ways to get the same item plus or minus. It's still going to be a kind of a crude bow versus, it's not. You're not going out there like with the Rambo bow with the explosive arrows or whatever.
I would like explosive arrows.
I would love that.
I want to just take blocks of C4 and put them along the side of an arrow and see if I can launch that into a great place. But we'll see.
Another feature I'm sure PS2 people want.
Exploding crossbow bolts.
Actually, they already have those.
Right.
And they're heavy as hell too. So will there, obviously you can't confirm the sorts of stuff, but, so I'm just going to say it, different types of arrows. You don't have to say anything.
That's just your idea?
I'd imagine people are going to want to fire a flaming arrow not only to try to light a place on fire, but also just as an old school signal to know that, something's going on somewhere.
Well, we will have airdrops in the game. How that's going to work isn't exactly there yet, but
it's been talked about a lot, yeah.
Right, you will be able to call in an airdrop in some way. Don't know how that's going to be. Maybe we don't know how that's exactly going to be just yet. I'm not exactly going to
And it might be different on each server too.
Right.
I could definitely see servers where there's a higher item generation rate and you wouldn't really see the airdrops versus one where there's everything that exists in the world when the world was created, and then anything else from that you've either derived from animals or you've gotten out of an airdrop. Like a real minimal equipment sort of kind of server.
Right. So what's awesome is we actually came across that road. We kept going up that road, and we ended up running into that structure that we built yesterday.
Yeah, I remember that structure.
What's fantastic is that structure now it has animal traps and it had that dew collector. So I was able to go up there and drink water and pick up some more rabbit meat out of that area. So I built that campfire. And let me light that guy first. So essentially at this point for me what I would do is I would just try to stockpile this area. Again, I came across this fortress just in the middle of the open somewhere, which means it probably belongs to somebody, or if it doesn't belong to somebody, there's going to be somebody else that comes along the road looking for it.
Yeah.
So at a time like this, you're always going to be wanting to watch your back, especially against the road and the lake. So I've set off a campfire to cook that, and if I were playing in a current PvP server that I knew that there were other players, this would make me incredibly nervous to do this right next to the road.
Yeah.
Not only just build a campsite there, but start a campfire, set off that kind of thing.
What's the status on burnt steak? Is that still not sure?
So burnt steak, not sure, but let me see if there's any raw.
Because I remember there was, when asked, the community pretty much wanted burnt charred steak. So
there have been messing with the item list a little bit, and it looks like there's a very good possibility that it might be in there. But again, I can't confirm or deny that it will be in there. It's pre-alpha right now, so there's quite a few things that'll happen.
I mean, the feature was just talked about like last week or whatever, so even if it is something in the plan, there's no way it would have been in by now.
Right. The current way, there will be rotten meat.
Yep.
I've already, I was kind of moving some items around in my inventory. I didn't have enough to craft, so I dropped a piece of meat in order to pick up some scrap metal to craft something else. I don't remember exactly what it was, but after I had finished my crafting and I went back to pick up the meat, fortunately I picked it up and it was like, you picked up rotten meat. Like,
oh, gross.
Oh well. That was interesting. So, there we go. Try and push that guy away. My stamina's too low to push, so I'll just have to have that.
I can't remember if I asked or not. Will there be different ways players can push?
Different ways players can push. Right now, you can push the Q key, as you already know. That'll be able to push.
No, I mean the actual mechanic that you're pushing with, like a one-handed versus like a two-handed versus more of a forward kick sort of a push.
Right now, there's only that one left-handed push that's in the game. I haven't heard of any other additions to the push system just yet. So that's all I can say at this time.
It seems like it would be more of a timing, stamina, and range sort of balancing act for which type of push is the right one for the right situation.
Again, when I ran into that, well, there's a lot of ammo here. It's this industrial area, and we've come across the area that was kind of built for the showcase for E3. We actually made it all the way back to where we were yesterday. So a lot of this is set up so that ammo will spawn for that M16 that's shown later down the road.
So I would say at this point it's kind of a good way to, you've been about 15 or 20 minutes on this life. You actually managed to survive. You managed to get somewhere where there's stuff. There's not any zombies around. So I would say you didn't win the game, but you definitely had a decent start. Oh no, zombies. There they are.
That's a flashlight. That's not gonna light a zombie on fire. There we go. I'm gonna try and push him away.
Hell of a flashlight to light a zombie on fire.
My stamina is too low to push him right now, so all I have is this. And there we go, I got him. If I wouldn't have used those bandages earlier, I would have been dead. My health was at 25 before I used those bandages. Brought it up to about 48. Now I'm back down to 21.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's a basic start. Have enough food to keep going. I do have a water bottle, which, let's see, looks like there's a dam area up ahead, so I might, nope. Looks like it's right up, that's just a bridge. If there was water...
Now everything's all in black and white basically because your character's kind of beat up, right?
Yes, that is. If I were to, actually for just the sake of showing this off, I'm going to grant myself a whole bunch of health again, right there. So even though it's the middle of the night and it's probably very difficult to see on camera, there was a bit of a light change, and let's see. What? Alright. That we have that empty water bottle that we picked up from the camp and drop us some zombies. With that empty water bottle, you can go to a lake or something like that and fill up that water bottle with the water from the lake. The problem is that the water that you're pulling in is going to be dirty water, so when you drink that, sure, it'll help your thirst meter, but it's going to hurt you in some way. Right now, the way it's set up is if you drink dirty water, you'll take damage. That may or may not change as things go on.
Yeah, that's one that I was wondering with the lore, because from what I understand from the lore, nobody's really getting sick anymore because the people who are still alive are I guess the ones that the Karama drugs didn't turn into a zombie or something maybe something about them not getting sick. So I had wondered like how that would work with parasites and other microorganisms that would make you sick from drinking dirty water and stuff. How that would work. So I can see that all that is still kind of in flux and being discussed and decided upon.
Yep. So there are quite a lot of zombies along that bridge. I'm going to try and go up and around and see if I can pick up anything that way. You'll notice I have my axe out, not my torch. Being that there were zombies up along that area, I don't want to have my light out and have them notice me. I'm going to stick to the shadows a bit. That guy. Because I know if... Whoop! Well, too late anyways. Too late,
yeah. Oh, that's a pack of them. You're pretty much screwed, I think. Good luck.
This is the end. Alright, so...
Well, I was running out of footage here anyway, so...
And you can see where, when I died, it dropped that backpack.
Yeah.
So, there we go.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much.
So that was a full fresh start, playing through and dying horribly, even with a little dev love there, getting himself full of health. Didn't matter very much because he kind of got swarmed. So anybody who's just tuning in, who hasn't been watching the whole time here, this is H1Z1 Dead Feature Rant. I am your host, Legendary Neurotoxin. To my screen left is Skylatron, and to my screen right is Tessachka and a big, furry, grumpy-looking cat.
Zombie cat. This is Zombie cat.
Nice.
She sleeps all the time.
So... That pretty much shows what it's like to try to survive in the game, and he didn't have too good an experience. He might not have necessarily been using the best of techniques, and the best of tactics, running in town there, smashing glass all willy-nilly, and just searching things while stuff is beaten on him from behind or whatever. But at the same time, he didn't find a gun, he didn't find ammos. He didn't find a vehicle to take over, and that's kind of what I think a lot of people are, should be expecting when the game starts. There's not going to be cars waiting for you near the start zone. It isn't an easy start. It's a difficult start. You've got to earn the right to be able to find a car, to be able to find a gun and keep it, and not get rolled up on by a bigger group of people with more guns and just demand it from you. It's definitely, seeing what a solo player in a world where there's hardly, I don't even know who else was even playing on the server there, if it was just a solo instance running there, but we didn't really see anybody else the entire time that I was playing. So it's that's what it's going to be like if you just absolutely have nobody around. It really shows. It's going to be difficult if you don't have any friends or even someone who you can kind of work with for a little while until you decide, like Double D, that you're going to shank him with a pocket knife. And like in the trailer. I hope everybody's seen the trailer, by the way. It's pretty good, actually. It's really well done.
It's really good. They put in a couple of weird things. I thought there were a couple of things that looked a little buggy, so it was a bit strange that they put them in. Like the axe, it was like really far away from what he was attempting to axe, and it still worked. So that was a little weird. But aside from that, it's a really good trailer.
Yeah, it definitely shows us a whole lot about the game. So Tess, I saw you were laughing, and you had a lot of reactions throughout the video here. Nobody else could see because it was just us Skype folks that could see it. But what were some of the things that you really enjoyed seeing in that?
Gosh, there's so many things. I really, really like how the animals react to you and how you can sort of interact with them, and how the, like, if a deer runs away, the zombies will chase the deer. The AI is very interesting to me. I saw that when I was at SOE as well. Like the zombies basically will chase the deer, which I just think is so cool. There's so many things, gosh. The just how incredibly atmospheric I think it's going to be. That's one thing that I'm sort of curious about, is how different it will feel when there are a lot more other players around you, and how close to you they will feel, because right now you're just one guy alone, you know, running around, and it feels incredibly scary because you're by yourself. But what happens when there are a lot of other people around you? I mean, what if there's a whole group of you running around? Then it's a lot less scary, but will it be a lot more scary because there'll be more zombies?
It depends if they're individuals, if they're groups. If there's 20 individuals running around with torches trying to do their own thing, I'm not as worried. In fact, I might just hide somewhere without my torch out and just kind of sit and wait. There might be opportunities that rise. That might be a good time for me to do a little bit of crafting while there's not too much attention to me. I'm not moving around, making a lot of noise, making a lot of smell. There's everybody else with their torches running around, attracting all the zombies and kind of bringing their little heat map blips with them as they go along. So just, you know, kind of being in that vortex of people doing their thing, but not necessarily being a part of it, not being an element of it, I think will really help. But I don't know how much of that we're going to see. I figure a lot of people, it's going to be, you know, you find somebody else in the world, you get close enough, maybe you see their name or identify that it's somebody you know. It's like, oh, hey, it's you. Alright, well, same rules as always until we get a vehicle. Then,
I most likely kill you in the morning.
yeah, no, it's probably like till we get a vehicle and we fight over it. Winner gets to keep it. Yeah.
So Cycle says in the chat, more activity, more zombies based match.
Yep.
And spooking animals buys you time. That's very cool.
Yep.
That's very, very cool. It's the AI for me is one of the most interesting aspects, and how we'll be affected by that. So my other question is, can you minimize the effects of that? Like, say you really, really want to play with two of your good friends or something, and you know that just by being together, you know, you're raising your activity level and you're bringing more zombies down on you. Is there a way to minimize that? Like, was there going to be a way to sneak around and be more stealthy, or, you know, minimize the effects of having a group together if you want to be in a group?
Probably. I mean, if you have 3 people in a group but only one person's holding a light source, that'll probably help instead of everybody having their torch out. That'll also help because only one person has to operate a light source and everybody else can have their weapons out, be at the ready in case you actually need them. Or everybody keeping their torches down and just trying to sneak around as a group together. Just so long as you stay together as a tight group, like Cycles is saying here in chat, you gotta kind of sneak around. It's a little slow, but you know, you can stay as a small kind of tight group in the darkness and maybe be able to sneak around a little bit better. Obviously, one person is going to make less impact sneaking around than 3 people, but then I don't know, is, you know, 3 people sneaking around or 5 people sneaking around the equivalent of one person running, you know, at sprinting speed and the noise they're making, or even sprinting with a torch. So there's definitely that level of you know, how big is too big of a group before you know that you're definitely going to have axes out and be ready to fight stuff for a while. Versus when you have a small enough group, you know, you can kind of move around like a little, you know, covert co-op kind of game and have fun with it in its own little way with this little group.
So they remember where they saw you last. That's huge. So if you run away, right, and they see you, like say you're sneaking about in a group of 3 by some shack where there's a Jeep that you guys want to repair, and the zombies hear you, they see your light, they come and kill you, or they come and try to kill you, and you run in 3 different directions, right? So say they go off chasing one guy and the other 2 guys come back to the vehicle. Will the zombies return when they can't catch up to the guy that they chased after? Or like what will happen.
That's a good question. Some of them might just stay by the area where they kind of spotted you, just, not having the effort to go chase and be like, okay, well, they'll either be back here or maybe we'll just wait until something else comes by before we actually move from our position. So it could be, they just end up kind of becoming the guardians of that vehicle. You're not going to get it until you can kill them and then finally repair it.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. So many possibilities. Some things must be discovered. I can't tell you everything. Oh, but but we're curious.
We want to know, indeed. So Skylar, what were some of the things from that video in particular that really jumped out to you?
I think I'm gonna go with Tess on this about being super, super freaking stoked for the AI. I think that's the biggest thing that's gonna make this game different than other games, and I think that obviously that is what made the biggest difference in the end here was the zombie AI. When playing the demos, we're a bit reckless. I definitely was. So, when it's real, I'm curious to see how cautious people are actually going to be on their first run through. If we're going to be suiciding into zombies all the time, or if we're actually going to take our time. And what the lifespan is. How long is someone actually gonna live? Are we gonna expect to live for an hour, or are we expecting our characters or whatever to live for days or weeks?
It's a pacing and experience thing. Nobody completes their first jump in the Matrix. Nobody completes their first run of Rogue or Binding of Isaac or any of those games. It's just not going to happen. So it's the same way with this. You don't have the knowledge set when you first start up the game. Even if you understand the interface, you don't have the knowledge set and the skills to be able to do everything that you want or need to be able to do, because you don't know what you want or need to be able to do. You don't know how quickly your resource deplete. You don't know how quickly your stamina replenishes. You don't know how rain actually affects you. I'm sure it's gonna be raining. It's like, hot damn. They're gonna try to find some detergent and just be scrubbing it all over and trying to turn that, be like, oh man, I hope this rain keeps going so that way I can get me a nice clean shower. I'm gonna smell real pretty after this. So that's there's, I'm sure, going to be people doing that sort of hilarious, or trying to at least. But in terms of actual survival versus the amount of effort going into it, probably not necessarily the most effective thing. Washing up with detergent during a big old rainstorm. It's probably better to get some cover and make sure that you're not caught by some sort of creature out in the rain or zombie. And B, that any other ill effects from rain, like losing stamina because you're cold and rained on, could really start potentially wearing on your character.
Speaking of the rain, it looks so good. Doesn't it just look good? Everything looks
gorgeous.
So wet and just, I don't know, real.
Yeah, the appearance of pools of water accumulating on the ground is actually really, really effective. Honestly, I can't remember a game doing that really well since, and this is throwing it back a little bit. Asheron's Call 2. Is that what you were thinking, Skyla?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I love what they did with the weather effects in those games.
Yeah. Early access for experimenting, so we'll probably switch up the rules. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, because it is definitely going to be the time to mess with things and see what works and what doesn't, and what enrages the players, and what everybody is like, yeah, this is totally what I want it to be, but then the devs are like, oh, this is totally not what we want it to be. This is way too easy, or whatever the conditions are at that point. I'm really looking forward to the process. It's not just the end product, it's the process that's going to be a lot of fun. The same way with Landmark, the same way with Kriya, which is another game that I've been involved with. It's Siege Games procedural 2D sandbox world. So much fun. It's actually got RPG elements. It's not like Terraria. And that's also been a very open development process, and me and another member of the community, Mr. Poundstein, have actually been really involved with that, helping with the getting the dedicated server stuff set up and spreading the word about the game. So that's been, you know, a lot of fun, and we've been able, you know, us players of that game have been able to see really big changes from our efforts and being able to help report bugs and you know, helping with getting features and content and stuff in. So that's another game. You know, it's a small indie company. It's just a dude and a couple programmers and his wife doing the art, and a pretty cool composer, and I think that's more or less what it is. But they're doing a great job with it. I'm just as excited with that as I am with Landmark and with H1Z1, because that open development process really allows us to be a part of it and really help form and shape the game, and take all of our, you know, collective experience, and as well as not just collective experience, also the fact that we're kind of representative of the overall demographic that's going to be playing the game. So all of those features together are really going to be able to help SOE make H1Z1 into a truly incredible game. So when it actually does finally hit release, it's not early access, it's not beta, it's not open beta, it's finally, you know, legit real deal out there. It's going to be absolutely indomitable for the genre. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm just super excited for what they're going to show us at early access, but I'm even more excited for how the game will change during early access, and what the final result will be, because we're going to be a part of that. That's just amazing to me. So
such good stuff. It's really exciting. So
Yeah, they're doing some pretty amazing things right now.
if it's not permadeath, it's not hardcore. We want total hardcore. For some people, lose everything. Yeah, I mean, it depends on how much you can build in that amount of time. I mean, there are lots of people that love like roguelike games, or like In the Forest, for example. You know, lots of people are playing that right now. You can be set back to the very beginning very easily, and it, you know, when you've been playing for 7 hours and building everything up and working really hard, and all of a sudden you're dead and you just completely get shot to nothing, it can be frustrating.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of glad we keep, or at least the initial plan is that we keep recipes on death, because God, that would be rough.
Well, there's another reason why I see doing that is the same thing they're trying to do with Landmark, trying to streamline the content so you don't have to go outside the game to know about and learn about the game. It's a problem with a lot of games where when you need to know something about it, you go on a website rather than being able to find the answer in game. So if it's something that you had known before, instead of having this gigantic in real life notebook of all the recipes, and then every life as you find the items going through all of them to make sure you've got all the recipes learned, because the learning time is going to be part of the crafting process. It isn't just an instant thing. Pretty sure, at least. It's definitely, it's going to be a time sink just to be able to get back up to that point with the research, unless there's just very specific things that you know you're going to make, and everything else it comes as it comes. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how that one progresses. It could be, once again, another rule set thing that you don't keep your research on some servers, and some servers you do, unless you're carrying one character over from server to server to server, which doesn't really seem likely. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it'll be, you know, what you've accomplished on that character on that server in terms of research may or may not stay with you, depending on, you know, kind of how things go with the process, and also potentially how we help shape that process.
H1Z1 Jane said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead."
I was just going to say, I just hope that the sort of rediscovery of things doesn't become repetitive, because if you find a style of gameplay that you like, and like let's say there's a set of items that you use that you're good at using that you want to continuously use, say bow and arrow, right? And you have to discover the recipe for that, and the process for that takes a certain amount of time. It's like, you know, every time you die, you're gonna have to spend an hour playing the game the exact same way that you played it the last time to create the same exact thing. Like, eventually that will drive people crazy. So there's got to be some sort of variability to how you get back to where you were, if that's your goal, is to go back to where you were.
Right.
Sorry, what were you going to say, Skyla?
Oh, just H1Z1 Jane and Gotti and there mentioned are talking about humans versus zombies as more of a focus, and I will say that yes, I can be a Care Bear sometimes. Although I really like PvP, I think that the idea of a PvE rule set, see how many players you can gather up in one area and how many zombies that attracts would be really fun.
Well, they can actually go above and beyond. If that's actually something they really want to have as a rule set, they can have the spawn point, instead of along the southern or eastern edge of the map, you spawn in a military compound where there's a goodly amount of weapons and a goodly amount of ammo and a goodly amount of vehicles that spawn every day. And whenever you die, you just equip back up and you go out in the field and you hunt zombies. And it's just, I don't know what the terms of it are, if you'd bring back zombie heads or zombie thumbs or something to as your trophy to represent how many you've killed, or how it would work. But there's potential for doing something like that. So it really is, this base is the last stand. You're a rookie, you're a new recruit, and us players that have been playing here for a while and we've been surviving for a while, we give the orders and we're telling you, here's this gun, go kill zombies, bring us their thumbs, and we'll let you back in to eat and rest and all of that when you've got 50.
An interesting possibility, definitely.
Yeah, because that would also, with limited respawns and stuff being in a base like that, you're basically at the mercy of what spawns there. Tokens and votes. Yep, that's exactly right.
Oh, cool.
Tokens and votes. And some amount of tokens everybody's potentially going to get a little bit, but from what I understand, you're also going to be able to throw down SC to get the tokens and place additional bets. When the rule set that you put your tokens into is completed, from what I understand, you'll get all of those tokens back. They aren't going to be expended by the process. However, any place that you invest tokens, from what I understand, they're locked in there until that server mode gets completed. So if 50 people make 50, ridiculous server modes that nobody's actually going to get a following behind, and you just happen to put coins in, the tokens into them, you might not be seeing that token come back for a while unless there's a way you can pull them back out. But those aren't going to get as much attention as something that people have been discussing for a while. It's like, okay, this is definitely the rule set we want. Let's propose it. We're going to throw our tokens at it. This is going to be our thing. Thank you, Cyclones and Kurtz, for the link. That's really awesome. I remember reading that a while back. Cool. So we've got 8 minutes or so, 7 or 8 minutes before the end of the show here. So I want to make sure we have ample time to wrap up, because I've had shows in the past where we just keep on talking and keep on talking, and then it's like, oh, now I have to edit the video because it's over 2 hours and YouTube only wants 2 hours. So let's start with Skylatron. Why don't you wrap up a little bit your general thoughts on this and kind of what you're about and where we can find you.
All right. Yes, I am Skylatron. You can find me as Skylatron in all of the places, and you can also see my work at the 10 Ton Hammer social media networks, because that's where I do my stuff. Yep. Yeah. So I does anybody else feel like we might get early access maybe by the end of the month with what Smed's been teasing? Because if we do, you'll definitely find me there. Please don't kill me.
Yeah, I have no idea when it's going to come around at this point. I'm almost hoping it comes around at the end of July so I can be like, oh boy, it was a birthday gift. Because July 30th for me. Then I'm going to be turning the big 3-0, turning over another decade of playing games mostly.
Nice. Very nice.
So that should be fun. I've heard June 30th.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's any specific confirmation on that, and it can easily get pushed back.
I mean, we've already seen it pushed, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's
Yeah.
some unintended features in there. But
Like I said earlier, the best first look people can get with early access, the better. It's really going to be a big deal because everybody's all eyes on this game that are, you know, interested in the genre. We see it whenever there's a live stream and there's 10,000 people in chat, and you can't really say anything because it's just going to be up past the chat log in 5 seconds. So, yeah. And Tess, how about you? Your kind of general thoughts on everything, where we can find you, what you're all about.
My general thoughts are that I'm super, super, super excited. I pretty much have been excited since I heard about the game in the first place. And with every new sort of little tidbit that they release or that we hear about or we get to see, or, you know, your videos and visit and all of that stuff, just every little bit makes me a million times more excited. So I'm just waiting anxiously, I'm sure just like everyone else, for you know, early access. And as for me, I am a streamer, and my channel is Tessachka, and it's Tessa with CHKA at the end. And on Twitter, it's @TessGames. I stream every day, except for Sundays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And mostly I do horror games, a lot of futuristic stuff, first-person shooters, that kind of thing.
Heart rate monitor things.
Yeah, I'm always wearing a heart rate monitor. I don't have it next to me, so I can't show you guys. But basically, I wear a heart rate monitor on my arm from MyoLink. That's the name of the heart rate monitor, and you guys can see what my actual heart rate is on the screen, which is fun. And all of my alert sounds are scary, so you can follow me and
hilarious.
scare me to death.
It's so funny. And you change them out too to make sure they keep on tricking you. It's not eventually it'll get to the point it's like, oh, I've heard that cat a million times. And yeah.
I'm trying to work out a playlist on Nightbot, or one of the bots for Twitch, to make it so that subscribers can also just do it for free. But right now, it's any donation, $1 or more, or a sub or a follow, will scare me for sure. So,
Nice.
working on it.
Very cool. All right, and I am Legendary Neurotoxin, coming at you this week, as I am every week except when I'm at E3. This has been H1Z1 Dead Feature Rant. It's been a lot of fun.